What's up YouTube? My name is Zach with Android Digest, and today I'm reviewing the Samsung Galaxy S21. This phone retails for $800 and it retails at a cheaper price than last year's Galaxy S20. They really wanted to make this phone more affordable, especially in all these crazy times. So I'm going to let you know if this phone is worth buying. I'm all about finding the best phone for the money, and as far as the Galaxy S21 lineup, I truly believe this phone is the best value out of all of them. So I wanted to review this phone. I'm going to have a lot of close-up shots in this review, and I'm going to go into detail about quite a few things, and I'm going to let you know again if this phone is worth your hard-earned money. So let's get right into it, and let's get this review going right now. Alright, so I've got the S21 here in my hand, and a big theme of this review is that Samsung wanted to make a more affordable phone. They didn't want every phone in the Galaxy S21 lineup to be like $1,000 or more. They wanted something to be at a reasonable price. So they released this phone here, and it has some compromises compared to last year's Galaxy S20. But as we talk about all these compromises, you have to keep in mind, is it a big deal to me? And does it affect if I want to buy this, especially considering I'll save a lot of money on this phone? One example is what comes in the box. So Samsung did the Apple thing. They followed Apple after mocking them, which they really shouldn't have done. They decided not to include a charging brick in the box. Now on the plus side, they did reduce the price of charging bricks. They made them more easily available. And honestly, it's not a huge blow, again, considering the fact that this phone is like $200 cheaper than last year's S20 model. Now, if we look at the design of this phone, you're also going to notice plastic on the back. That is a little bit of a bummer if you like a really, really nice build. Now, you have to understand this is nice. It's a nice plastic, but it's still plastic, and some people will not like that. I really think this phone is built for your average consumer. That's why they're trying to make some of these compromises. They're trying to think of an average person that with everything going on in this world, you want to save a little bit of money, and most people are just going to put a case on their phone. And if that's you, it's not that big of a deal that this has plastic on the back. Now on the bottom of the phone, you're going to see they moved the SIM card slot there. They do have a USB-C port, and they do have a really loud speaker. It's a great speaker. But there is no SD card slot. That's another thing they took away. Now, if you're that concerned about an SD card slot, I would recommend just spending some extra money. You could just buy a model that comes with more storage, and I think that will solve most of your problems, especially since onboard storage is normally faster than SD card storage. But again, that's a little compromise that they chose to make. Now on the right side of the phone, you're going to see up and down on the volume and your power button. You're going to see not much on the top or on the left side of the phone. And on the back, you're going to see these 3 cameras, and they have a really cool looking camera bump. In my opinion, it looks pretty cool and futuristic. And you have your flash there. And on the front of the screen, you're going to see a fingerprint sensor, which is improved over last year's model. It is a little bit larger as well. And you're going to see a little small circle there up top for the camera, and a little speaker. It's really hard to see, but there's a little gap for a speaker at the top of this phone as well. And man, those 2 speakers combined are very, very good. Now the display is another place where they made a small compromise, but most people aren't really going to notice it. It's not going to be that big of a deal. So last year's Galaxy S20 model, you had to make a decision. Did you want to use a quad HD resolution on your screen? If you did, you could only use a 60 Hz refresh rate. Now your average person would rather just use a normal full HD screen, and you would be able to use a 120 Hz refresh rate. So it looks great. That's what most people did. And that's what they did on this model. They just took away the ability to use that quad HD screen. So you just have a full HD plus screen. The resolution is very, very nice. So this has a 2400 by a 1080 resolution. It's a 6.2 inch screen, but this screen does get very, very bright when you compare it to something like the Google Pixel 5 that's at about $700 retail, you're going to notice this screen gets way brighter. It looks absolutely amazing. It's a gorgeous AMOLED display. So I don't really care that they took away a Quad HD screen that most people didn't use. This screen looks absolutely phenomenal. And again, I don't think most people are going to care or even notice the difference because most people didn't even use the Quad HD screen in the Galaxy S20. And of course, this does have that 120 Hz refresh rate. I just have to say it's buttery smooth and everything looks great on this display. You're also going to notice lightning fast performance. You have 8 GB of RAM and you do have a Snapdragon 888. Now, if you are in other markets outside of the US or like China, you may notice an Exynos processor. That's an Exynos 2100, and that may be disheartening for some of you. The good news is they did make some gains compared to last year's Exynos model, but it's still not quite as good as the Snapdragon model, but at least they are improving. But in my testing with the Snapdragon 888, everything was buttery smooth. You might be worried about 8 GB of RAM, but everything was lightning fast. I could game absolutely at high levels, and I could go through pretty much any task with ease. I didn't have any hiccups or anything like that. So this phone performs absolutely great. This phone also has really good battery life. It's a 4,000 milliamp battery, and they do have some extra battery saving features compared to last year. They do reduce the refresh rate a little bit when you're not using the screen quite as much or when you're in certain applications that don't need it. I absolutely did not notice any hiccups as far as performance or how things looked, but the battery life was pretty good. It wasn't quite as good as the Google Pixel 5 for various reasons because there's so many nits of brightness on the screen, I'm sure, and a few other reasons, but I will say the battery life was still good. I got normally between 5 and 6 hours of screen time, and this phone did get me through your average day. Now, as far as the camera goes, this camera is very good, and your average user, I don't think you're going to see a lot of gains from year to year anymore. The cameras are just phenomenal, and for your average photo, they're all pretty much going to look good from here on out. So I don't think your average user has much to worry about. You're going to have a 12 megapixel camera, which is a wide camera. You're also going to have an ultra wide camera as well, which is 12 megapixels, and you're also going to have a 64 megapixel telephoto camera. Now, all the pictures look really great on these, all the cameras, which is good. A lot of times they skimp out on one camera if they can. So all the cameras performed very well. The video was absolutely great as well on this phone, so I really liked the video quality, and the selfies were really good as well. Now keep in mind, they did tune down some of the face smoothing and stuff like that, but make sure to go through on all of your settings. You could turn off any face smoothing features or any scene optimizing features, things like that. Could make things look a little smoother than they need to. If you want a more natural look, you could turn those things off. And when I did, I got really good shots, and I really liked what I saw. As far as extra little features, you're going to notice the fingerprint sensor works great. It is improved over last year. It's a little bit larger. So this phone gets very bright, like 1,300 nits of brightness. It's absolutely ridiculous. It performs extremely fast. The cameras are very good. It's got good battery life. And on the software front, Samsung has stepped up over the years. Now they're offering 3 years of big software updates, which is a huge plus. They've been a little more timely with updates than they used to be. And I cannot stress enough how big of a deal this is. When you swipe left on your home screen, you actually get the Google News feed. So they are playing nicer. They're dropping a few of their silly Samsung things that I could care less about. So I absolutely love it. And I can even swipe from the corner and get the Google Assistant to come up. So I absolutely love that they fixed one of the most annoying things about this phone, because I'm addicted to my Google News feed. So I love it. Samsung also has a lot of features in their software that even Google doesn't have in some of their phones. So when I look at this whole package, okay, as far as this phone retails at about $800. Now, the Google Pixel 5 retails for about $700. This has a better brightness by far on the screen. It has a better display. It has better performance. This has much better speakers on this phone. So when you compare the base features that it has, it is in a lot of ways better than the Google Pixel 5, and it's only $100 more expensive. On top of that, I know there are a lot of deals that Samsung often throws at their phones. So this phone, I think they made all of the right compromises. So if you want a phone that is smaller, that is a one-handed usable phone, this is a 6.2-inch screen. So keep that in mind. If you want a larger phone, this phone is probably out for you. But if you're anything like me, you might actually want to use a phone with one hand. This is just a perfect size to use with one hand. So I would say if you want that, this phone is a very great contender as long as you can afford it. It's priced just right. I think it's priced just right, especially in all these crazy times. We do not want another phone that's over $1,000. I think this phone has great features. I think the camera is very good. Even the front-facing camera is good. The video quality is good. And I got great shots with the camera. The battery life is good. Performance is great. The 120 hertz is good. And the small features they dropped, a lot of those things can be made up. For example, if storage is an issue, just buy a model with a little more storage. And when you combine those things, it'll still end up being cheaper in most cases than last year's Galaxy S20 model. So I've got to say, I give this phone a very big win. Just put a case on it. You won't have to worry about the plastic. It's a really nice quality plastic if you don't care anyway. I think most people are going to love it, and I would highly recommend buying this phone. Now, there are some people that shouldn't buy it. If you want a little bit of a larger phone, you should probably pick up something like the Galaxy S20 FE or one of the other Galaxy S20 models. I'm sure they're going to go on sale soon. Just keep in mind the Galaxy S20 FE does not have a regular proximity sensor. It's a virtual one. I did not even catch that in my Galaxy S20 FE review. But if you want a bigger phone than this and you want all the features of this, you are probably going to have to go with a phone like one of the bigger Galaxy S20 models or one of the more expensive S21 models. But do you really need 100 times zoom? Do you really need that? Your average person doesn't. Almost no one is going to use 100 times zoom on that S21 Ultra. So as far as the features you're missing, why would you pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars more for a phone that barely has any more features, okay? So why would you buy something like that? You could, and some people should, the rare people or the crazy techies that want the very latest and greatest. But if you're looking for a good value and you have a little more money, because good value for most people is like $300-400, okay? So if you're looking for a good value and you're in the $600 to $800 price range, this is a great phone to get. And hey, if you get it on sale, even better. Hopefully this review helps you make a buying decision. I really hope it does. And if you've stuck around this long, thank you so much. I know my beard is getting crazy out of control, just like everything going on in our world. Thank you so much for supporting me. As my channel has grown, so has my beard, and my beard needs to get trimmed a little bit. My channel needs to get up to 10,000 subs, okay? So please give me a like, give me a sub. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and please stay safe in these crazy times.